Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Live Your Extraordinary Life podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Rios, and I am thrilled to introduce you to my friend Jim Morris, who happens to be the founder and CEO of Impact Effect Events. He is doing tremendous things with leaders and businesses throughout the country. And there is an amazing event coming up that I'm actually going to be speaking at that I hope you'll tune in for. But without further ado, Jim, welcome to this week's show.
Thanks for having me, Michelle. I'm excited. I'm excited for this conversation today.
I always feel like when we get together, we're fellow New Englanders. You grew up in Massachusetts. I'm a Maine girl. But every time we get together, there's this sort of kismic energy of just, like the people who knew you when, or the people who know your background because of where you grew up. Like there's this instant connection with you.
Totally.
I really appreciate you taking the time. I know this is a busy time for you, but could you talk to us a little bit about what it is for you? What does it mean to you to live your extraordinary life?
What a great, powerful question, and I wouldn't expect anything less from you, Michelle. Extraordinary life. I think it really starts with defining the word extraordinary and what you align with, and what can build up and be included in that process of living extraordinary. And for me, it's impact, right? And that's a very general term. It's what I call my company. It's what you hear often. It's what people strive for and seek for. But for me, it's really creating human connection. It's doing things like this, building friendships that are deeper than surface level, deeper than business, deeper than the occasional conversation or check in. Actively listening, showing up compassionate, staying curious, and being there for folks in a creative way where I can use my imagination and show up for them and make them feel heard and seen at the highest level. That's me living extraordinary. And what I get in return is a beautiful, beautiful collaboration of friendship and emotion and money and business and all the things. But I've
I
gotta lead with that level of human connection first.
I love that. And you always emphasize human connection as being the leading force behind everything you do. And you once shared, and I know this is in your mission as well, that you have the goal of impacting 1,100,000 people around the world during the course of your time here. And it's a phenomenal mission to have. It's incredibly ambitious. But I love the idea of, look, we've talked about this before. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. At the end of the day, it really is about connecting at a deeper level and finding out what is it that sparks you? What is it that really excites you and makes you passionate about your business, about life, about what you want to do while you're here, having this human experience? And for you to say, how can I help you? How can we make that happen? What do I need to do? What is it you need? How can we make these connections? Because we're all here to help one another. And I think that's just such a beautiful thing. Tell me a little bit about the origin of Impact Effect events in general, because you've been doing this now for 4 years. This is not your inaugural event. You've done this a few times. It's not your first rodeo. And I'm super excited about what's to come.
So this whole concept, this whole idea started in a time where my business didn't exist anymore, right? So 2020, let's bring us back to that moment. And what had happened was I invested everything into this company that I started. It was an organic frozen beverage company, and the restaurants weren't open anymore, right? There was laws and regulations, and you couldn't gather, and there was 25 people one week and 50 people and 10. You couldn't sit next to groups bigger than 4 or 5, right? We can go into all those crazy details, but originally, I looked around and I said, "Wow, I'm hurting. This was my dream. We've had massive success. Year 1, we've blown up. I made it. I did the entrepreneur thing." And then it was taken away because our business went to 0 revenue, and we had fixed costs and cost of running a business, and we still had partnerships and certain agreements. So I was in a place where I needed the human connection. I needed the help. I needed the expertise. I needed the mentorship. And in that moment, what I realized was, wow, all my fellow business owners, all my entrepreneur friends, they're probably going through this too. They're probably scared. They're probably upset. There's probably a million emotions running around. And a lot of these folks were successful. They were on the up, and they were reinvesting in their business and growing and building and building and building and doing all the things. So what I realized was I wasn't the only one that needed more relationships and folks around me that cared. So I threw an event. They allowed us to have 8 people, and 8 people showed up.
Mm.
And that event grew within 6 months to 200 people showing up to an event. And as I've continued to grow, I'm always looking to disrupt this industry of events, the norm, create experiences that are memorable, create experiences that are driven with high emotion and passion, and really putting a stamp on folks to do better, to grow, to be bold, to take the risk. And ultimately, the glue to all this is having a baseline and understanding of where you're going and how you show up and what type of leader you want to be. Coming up in September 17th and 18th is around pulling this out of you and bringing you on a journey of yourself, on a journey of true leadership where you can own it, feel it, believe it, understand it, and most importantly, critically think in real time with our speakers and facilitators and peers in the room of a highly curated, highly impactful room of movers and shakers, but to give that opportunity to listen, to observe, to interact, and to help bring that person from A to B in a different way than most conferences are built, in a different through line to get the outcome. That's really what we want to do. Create radical change in this industry and disrupt the normal way of doing events, the normal way of you come in, you hear all the sponsors talk about their product, and then you go one speaker into the next who are drastically different with different views and opinions, and there's no flow. And it's really hard to follow that, and it's really hard to be intentional and to open up and give that level of comfortability when that chaos may seem and those transitions may not seem so controlled and thought out. And that's where we really spend most of our time with how we construct this.
Well, and having been at many, many events over the years, I was doing industry events, I was speaking at these events, and for years, I think the key difference is typically at an event, you are being spoken to. You go away with probably some insights and some nuggets, some contacts, but then you go back to your regular life, and all that information sort of sits on a shelf or sits on your desk or in a goodie bag that you've been given, and it collects dust if we're honest with ourselves, because we have such fast paced lives already that we take a moment out, we go and attend, and then we come back to our fest and you're like, oh, yeah, I got to get to that. Oh, yeah, I should think about reading that again or listening. And you don't do anything with the information. And what I love about what's happening in the disruptive nature that you talk about with Impact Effect 24 is this idea of bringing people in, inspiring them, having a theme around leadership and impact and human connection that we can all rally around, and then really have the opportunity for attendees to interact deeply with the speakers and the facilitators so that they can actually talk about their businesses, their goals, their dreams, and walk away, if not just inspired, with some sort of action plan or next step.
Yes. Yes.
That's what's
And
unique about this event for me.
one of the things that I realized last year was I needed to step into my authentic self and what I believed and where I think this is most impactful and how I can do it. That's, yeah, out of the norm. And it takes a lot of effort to do something and blaze your own path, right? It takes money, it takes failure, it takes late nights, it takes broken partnerships, it takes folks who support you and aren't there when you actually need them, right? And all those amazing things happen, and what I realized was, wow, I need to show up at a level that I would expect from anybody else. And for me to do that and for me to hold my standard high, what I realized is the conference starts 2 weeks before.
Mm.
September 18th. The conference starts with our webinar of us teaching all the attendees how to squeeze the juice, how to show up, how to maximize, what's okay. Yeah, bring your cameras, grab your content, bring your microphones. Here's where you can do this. We have a separate section to shoot your own stuff. You can also collaborate and get on podcasts downstairs. Here's the questions to ask people. Here's how to remove the awkwardness. Here's how to show up as an introvert and play the game of extrovert that day. And the beauty in that is we're connecting people before, we're advising, coaching, training, and giving them skills and opportunities ahead of the conference. And then we create a situation at the conference where we force you to network and we remove the awkwardness, right? We get up there and we guide and we allow and probe and give you questions to utilize. So it's not, wow, I'm asking this really deep question and I just met you 2 minutes ago. So
And we'll
we're,
bring you down into the audience and sit with you and be with
I, I,
you.
I
Don't
was
have
going to
to
say,
find us. We'll find you.
I was gonna say, it's one of those things where the day of is we're getting everybody off the stage. We're getting people in the crowd. We're working with you one on one and allowing everybody to hear it throughout the speech. And then the follow-up, right? You usually go to a conference and then you get an email to buy something. Well, here's the reality with Impact Effect 24 is you've already bought in your ticket price 2 follow-up sessions and a one-on-one session with Jim to talk about strategy, to talk about strategic implementation. And I think that's the beauty in what I'm building is we care so much that it starts 2 weeks before, it goes through the day of the conference, and then it continues for a follow-up. And all you have to do is show up with enthusiasm and a good attitude, and you're gonna meet amazing folks because we curate it. We put movers and shakers in there, in those rooms.
All right, let's talk about who this conference is specifically designed for, because this is a highly curated event. You really know everybody coming in. Tell me, for our audience listening, the types of people who should be considering going to Nashville on September 17th and 18th.
I would say it's the person that understands we're in a world that is seeking and needing future high level leaders right now. Are we paying attention to what's happening and where this world's going? And do you feel that you're bold enough to become a leader to step into some of those roles and create massive impact and change in your communities? Right. So, yes, it's a business conference, but what we're teaching, what we're navigating, what we're diving into is you as a leader, right? And how you show up at home, how you show up with your friends, your family, and especially in business. And if you're a business professional, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, someone leading a team, an executive, someone looking to up level skill sets and build those human connection opportunities, this is the conference because the whole thing is set around content creation, the content you're going to hear and learn and listen to, but more importantly, how are you going to develop a relationship that has massive impact that changes the trajectory of your life? There was so many people last year who sent me text messages and emails and social media posts literally about how their whole mindset has changed, or they talked to this person and a partnership came about it. Then they brought in 30,000 that month from that one connection, or brought on a new client and helped them monetize this part of their business or market or break down their messaging. Because here's the thing, there's leaders coming from every industry. And I think that's the beauty in this is you're not an insurance agent that's going and talking about insurance. You're going and talking about how that person has led a team, has led a community, has led an organization, and what they've done to succeed, some of the things that they've done and failed and had to learn from. And I believe that's the beauty in the curation of putting the right people in the room, not just anybody who has the money to purchase a ticket. And I think that's the X factor here. Last year, we didn't allow a couple people into the conference, and it was one of those decisions that was very hard on me because I want everybody to win and grow, and it's an opportunity to be better. But if they didn't have the right attitude or the expectation or there wasn't alignment, I will refund their money because I want to protect the other people in the room who are coming for the right reasons. And those are hard decisions to make, especially when there is no investor in this thing. It's Jim's cash, it's Jim's savings, and you got to front load events with your money. And those are hard decisions. And a couple years ago, I don't think I would have made that decision. but seeing how impactful that room can be and the uniqueness and the synergy and the glue is my discernment. The glue is me protecting this house, right? This is my home. This isn't my house. This is not just a house, it's a home. And I've got to be able to shut that door to protect it sometimes. And I do that at the mercy of believing that that's the right thing to do for the greater good of the folks who did make this commitment to join us at Impact Effect 24.
I think it's about the long-term vision, right? You are stepping into that next level of your own authenticity, and you realize that the short-term gains of just letting the floodgates open don't benefit the long-term vision, and that there's some pain in that on many levels. But that's the way you grow in alignment and in what is really meant for you. So if you are a leader in a corporate capacity, if you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, if you are a community leader, if you are a leader in your household, which I would argue we all should be, this event is for you. If you think about leadership in the broadest sense, from home, as Jim said, community, and then our businesses and organizations, associations, those places where we do business, it starts with us as individuals and then goes up. So I hope that whether you're in Nashville or you're anywhere here in the United States and you're considering going to Nashville on the 17th and 18th, please either reach out to Jim or even me. I'm happy to make sure we make the connection. If you're unsure if it's the right conference from you, I'm telling you, it's the right decision. Reach out and we'll make sure you get all the information you need to make sure that it is impactful, that you come away with a broader mindset, a new perspective, new contacts, networking that you hadn't even considered, expanding your world. I live in Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. I always kind of think about the Eastern Seaboard as sort of my business playground in my backyard. I have been more to the West Coast this year than I ever have before because of business. And I'm so excited. I have so many friends and contacts and business associates in the Nashville arena to actually go to Nashville and expand that circle. So I'll be there for at least 3 days. I cannot wait. Tell us a little bit more about the actual day of event. And I know there is the 17th is a special VIP program. Tell us a little bit about what to expect and what the day might look like for folks.
Yeah, great question. I'm going to get a little excited here, as you can probably hear in my voice. But September 17th, we've got two events. We've got the executive level kickoff event, and then we have the VIP event. So it's an opportunity for people to meet each other the night before and then do some follow up and create value and opportunity before they see him again on the 18th for a full day conference from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So on the 17th at the VIP event, we've got an amazing opportunity where we're bringing in the VIPs to do a mastermind with the speakers. And then we bring in the sponsors and the other folks, and we have this amazing kickoff event. We've got a speaker at it. So you're going to get inspired and you're going to have an opportunity to dive in and educate. But the whole goal is to build that relationship and have multiple opportunities for follow up and growth. And then on the 18th, it's really unique. So we've got everybody arriving in the morning and we've got a couple surprises and it's going to be something you've never experienced and it's going to be very unique. And then we kick off and we go for a couple hours and we take some breaks. We've got some people that are going to help with strength and conditioning. We've got some other surprises, getting some movement going. And then we go into lunch. We'll have lunch right on site for everybody. And then we get back and we've got Rich Redmond, who's Jason Aldean's drummer, 64 number one songs. He's going to come out and do a performance and talk about leadership. So he'll share some songs that he's created and he'll talk about some experiences and how he's a leader of the band, a leader of the team, and really what that means to him and his growth. And then we've got an amazing panel of folks that are going to talk about important qualities around leadership. It's going to be one of those panels that's very interactive, and it's going to be something where it's not just eight different opinions up on a stage. There's cohesiveness, there's synergy, And again, we bring you on a journey throughout that. The cool thing that we were talking about earlier was each speaker is going to have some time to introduce themselves, but they're going to get off the stage and interact. It's at Woolworth Theater, but the cool thing in the curation of the seats is it's not theater style. So we've got round tables. So it's really just mini masterminds with the speaker facilitator leading the process and interacting. And then we have a human connection relationship rally that I was talking about earlier, where we dive into opening up the opportunity to connect deeper, and we guide you with certain questions. I ask everybody to get up and go sit at the opposite side of the room next to someone they haven't met that day. So that way we can actually curate an opportunity to go find that person you may have wanted to talk to, but didn't know how to butt into the conversation, or they turned around right as you approached them and went into the bathroom and you didn't want to follow them in the restroom, right? Like we've seen all these things, we've experienced these things. How can I step in and create an opportunity so these things can be enhanced at the highest level and that highest level of human connection? So I'm excited. And then we're also working on an after party. I don't know if Jim Morris will be at the after party because I do have a TED talk the next day, but we're looking to partner with a local company right next door and continue the opportunity to dive deeper and connect.
I think it's fabulous, and congratulations on your TED Talk. We cannot wait to hear you and to support you in that. One of the things I want people to think about is whether or not you are currently what you would consider at the height of your leadership role or experience, whether you're currently experiencing challenges, whether you are now being newly assigned to lead teams, or you have folks that are rising up through the ranks as leaders that you need to be able to mentor and bring along, whether there are challenges or if you have really great examples of things that are working well. We're going to talk about the whole plethora of leadership impact, from challenges to strategies for improving it to the kinds of impact that great leadership can have at home, in the community, and on businesses, wherever you are, in whatever kind of business you are. So I think that speaks to most of us out there in the world. And I hope that you will consider joining us at Impact Effects 24, again in Nashville, September 17th and 18th. Jim, tell people where they can go online to learn more about the event.
www.impacteffect24.com. There's some testimonials, there's some things so you can kind of get familiar with the experience last year and really dive into our themes. That's one of the things that I do is I call everybody that purchases a ticket and we have a conversation about impact so I can understand who to sit you next to, who's influential, who can you help? And we take that extra step and that extra level to set you up for success and do our part as much as possible. So we really want to make sure you align with the conference. We really want to make sure we can provide what you're looking to do, the problems you're looking to solve, and the people you're looking to meet. And I wholeheartedly believe we'll do that for everybody in that room come September 17th and 18th.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to get there myself. I'm going to be speaking on a panel with some other esteemed guests. I cannot wait. It's going to be a really engaging and I hope very eye opening conversation, because the thing about the group of people that Jim is bringing together is the level of authenticity, the level of experience, the level of vulnerability that these leaders are willing to get at so that you can understand the path that these folks have gone through to really create the impact, the leadership, the success that we've all experienced in our business worlds is why we're there and why we're so excited to be part of this. Jim also has Impact Effect 24 very active on Instagram and Facebook. You'll actually, if you go on there, you'll be able to see clips of some of the speakers that will be at the event. Jim, just so I make sure I get the handles correct, can you share what the IG handle and the Facebook handles are?
Yeah, so you can check out my page at The Real Jim Morris and then Impact Effect 24 on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Wonderful. Jim, thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you. I cannot wait for this upcoming event. And if anyone has any questions, please reach out to either Jim or I, and we're happy to hook you up. Until next time, everyone, keep living your extraordinary life. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please take a moment to rate and review. If you have recommendations for future topics, please reach out to me at michelleriossofficial.com. Lastly, please consider supporting this podcast by sharing it. Together, we can reach, inspire, and positively impact more people. Thank you.